coming up on that, because you're concentrating on making sure you hit your marks and racing around the cars that are inside of you, outside of you. So your spotters got to be not only looking about what's going on around you, but looking far enough ahead to notify you that you're coming up on a slower car.
Saw that battle for 7th. Andres Perez got around Greg Van Alst. And we've got a spinner just coming off of turn 4. Caution out for the 2nd time here at Charlotte.
Sean Core, number 8. Looks like he spun out off of turn 4. That's probably the most accident-prone corner we have. Wouldn't you say, Phil, at Charlotte Motor Speedway? Turn 4 is just such a tricky place.
It really is. It's so much different than the other end of the racetrack. We were talking about that during, just got a little bit loose trying to run up in that resin, got a little bit loose, did a nice job keeping that car out of the outside wall. But these two ends of the racetrack are completely different.
They really are, and we talked about it already. That resin, if you're just on the edge of it, I think there's enough grip right now. We saw Connor Mozak make the pass in the edge of the resin, but it looked like Sean got a little bit higher than where the resin was activated.
So we've had 2 spins, caution twice, but no damage. So we keep on ticking, and we will do the same here at Charlotte. Stay with us. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. Well, Grant Enfinger, one of the big movers, up 8 spots, Amanda.
And he said that the track is not coming alive yet, and that's a reflection on that traction compound that you guys have been talking about, but said he can make it work.
See what he can do with it here. Grant Enfinger up to the 6th spot.
Let's see if that outside lane can actually get a better restart here on this one.
This time is Jesse Love in the bottom, and you got Jack Wood to the outside. And again, Eric.
More wheel spin, but he did a better job than the previous 2 restarts, but I felt like that was certainly played right into Connor Mosak's hands, restarting 3rd. Follows Jesse Love right out of the restart zone and gets into 2nd place.
3 wide for a moment. Grant Enfinger made it 3 wide, made a pass.
And they're still 3 wide down the backstretch.
This is where it's going to get tricky right here.
Andy Jankowiak right now in the 73 car running 4th, having a really nice run. That's the same car that just about burned up at Kansas a few weeks ago.
Unbelievable. Those guys must have spent a lot of hours getting that car completely rebuilt.
Connor Mosak with a much better restart, as you mentioned, up to the 2nd spot. Jack Wood slips back a spot. And how about Andy Jankowiak? You guys just mentioned him, what this team has been able to do. I mean, grassroots racing, it's all of his buddies, and they put these cars together at home and drive around the country to try to make these races, and here he is running the top 5.
Very cool to see those guys having a great run. Connor Mosak is hanging tough with Jesse Love. This is the first time we've seen anybody be able to keep pace with Jesse Love, and he's doing it by running just slightly above where Jesse Love is running. He's kind of running that 2nd lane with his right side slightly in the traction compound.
Jack Wood holds down the 3rd spot. Andy J in 4th, as we were talking about.
Connor Mosak now about 2/10 off the bumper of Jesse Love. This is heating up quickly. I felt like Jesse checked out on the restart.
Connor's doing a great job of moving his car around, trying to keep clean air on the nose, making sure that he keeps his momentum up through the corners. He's really putting up the fight right now to Jesse Love.
Remember now, Connor shares this car with William Sawalich. William is not old enough to run a 1.5 mile racetrack. He will run all the short tracks, everything he's eligible for. Connor will do most of the driving when they run the speedways, the bigger racetracks.
Great battle right here for 7th. Taylor Gray in the 17, Dean Thompson in the 15. These 2 battle it out every week in the Truck Series.
All 3 of these guys will be racing later tonight in the Truck Series.
And 2 of them are teammates, by the way.
Taylor Gray, one of those cars that we talked about early on the show, is had to come from the back with unapproved adjustments to start the race. Wow, look at how much skew that car has going down the straightaway. That's unbelievable.
Let's get an update, Heather.
And you talked about them being teammates. Dean Thompson actually told me it's kind of funny to race against the 17 in this race because his crew chief, Derek Smith, he crew chiefs for Taylor Gray in the Arca Mernards series, and then also his interior guy is on this team as well. So he said it's a little bit weird to race against these guys here tonight as we see him make the pass on him.
Great battle there. Great battle up front as well. Heating up for the lead here. Connor Mosak on the top side. Jesse Love on the bottom. Can he make it stick?
Jesse had to go up in that traction compound to get around a lap car, and he wasn't used to it yet, like Connor Mosack was, and he just lost his momentum, and Connor drove by on the outside.
Yeah, Connor powers by there, and I think exactly what you said, Phil. Connor had been running up there in that resin for quite some time. Jesse had been married to running that paint. He's been putting his left sides right on the paint, which there's a lot of grip down there. But as that traction compound continues to activate and get heated up from more and more cars run on it, it will become the dominant lane, and it will produce a lot of side-by-side two-wide racing. And we saw that Connor Mosack was able to use that to his advantage and drive right by Jesse Love.
Look at that clean air, just checking out now, 4/10 over Jesse Love. Jack Wood still back there in third, and Andy J, Dean Thompson in fifth. But I'm so impressed by the drivers that started in the rear and the progress they've been able to make. I mean, Andres Perez, we talk about this young man, 18 years old. Every time he gets in the car, I feel like he's a top 5 contender, and he missed a race, and he's still fourth in points and has a shot at the championship.
And here he is right now trying to put a move on Gus Dean, take over 5th position. You heard him get a little loose right there, Phil. He got a little loose under Gus.
I was watching Dean Thompson try to battle with another car on the inside. He looked loose as well.
And we talked about that before the race started. This racetrack will continue to change and evolve as the night goes on. That traction compound, that resin will activate, and it will become the preferred lane for a while, but it will also get rubbered up. And as the rubber starts to stick to that traction compound, it will over time lose a little bit of grip. So you either have to run higher to find fresher resin, or you can go back down to the bottom of the racetrack to find some speed.
And there's no laying back. These races go by in a blink of an eye. We're already working lap 24 of a 100-lap showdown here. We'll have a scheduled caution at lap 50. And we were talking about the 18, Connor Mosack. The history that he's had, Heather talked about it in her pit whip, setting up his story. He started racing a little bit later. He was a left and a right turner. He was a road course guy. He races in the Trans Am Series, wanted to get a little bit better on the ovals. He's our rookie spotlight. You see it there, age 24. Average finish third. Not bad.
Yeah, he's been strong. They've worked really hard on this program at Joe Gibbs Racing, this ARCA program, and Connor's doing the majority of the driving again on the bigger tracks. And
I read an article about Connor this week, actually preparing for, this opportunity to come up here in the booth with you guys. It's actually a really cool story. His first opportunity to ever drive a race car was right here at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the big racetrack. He was 16 years old, and for his birthday, he got a gift, and the gift was a NASCAR driving experience. And he came here with his dad and ran in the NASCAR driving experience here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he fell in love with it.
That's what I want to do, right?
And he said, this is what I want to do. And so he was playing stick and ball sports and decided to quit stick and ball sports and go pursue a career in racing. So here he is.
And he ran part-time last year for Brett Holmes, and this year got the call to run the 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing. So doing a nice job. He's done a great job, actually. Every time he's been in this car, he finished second at Daytona, fourth at Kansas, but still looking for that first win.
Yeah, Jesse Love right now is a little bit uncharted territory for him. He's not leading. He leads most of the laps that he's run this year in the ARCA Mernards series, but nonetheless, still a good car. And again, these guys will have at least one opportunity to adjust on these cars. And I was talking to a lot of the crew chiefs down in the garage area. Again, you can change tires and put fuel on in any caution flag. You don't have to wait till the halftime break. So if we see a caution probably any time after 30 or 35 laps, as we see great battle right now for the 5th spot, these guys may be able to pit a little bit earlier than that competition caution and stay out when that happens.
Taylor Gray in the 17, they're battling with Gus Dean. Amanda, what are they saying?
Well, Jamie, there's technically one more person pulling double duty tonight, and that is the crew chief for Taylor Gray of David Gillian. I heard this week that he's been putting in the midnight oil at the shop on the 17, working for Taylor on the Taylor's ARCA car. Said he didn't want to take any help from the truck team to get this car ready this weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned David Gilliland. Double duty, that's pretty cool. Crew chiefing here, and then he's going to jump in a truck and compete against Taylor here after our race is all finished.
Well, would you call that wearing multiple hats? I don't know, because one's a hat, one's a helmet, right?
Yeah.
That's true. How fun for David, though. I mean, he's a racer, right? And he last ran, I think it was 2 years ago, was the last time he ran a truck. So getting to go out there and have some fun and mix it up with his team.
Here we see Jack Wood doing a great job here, running in third. We've talked about his teammate Andres Perez quite a bit, but here he is Jack is doing a great job. And like we talked about, you know, he's got that experience from running in the truck. He's pulling double duty. I think five of the top 9 right now are all doing double duty. So you see that experience and that extra track time paying off for these drivers.
Another one of those guys, Dean Thompson right here, had such a good run at Texas going. Got involved in a huge crash in the Truck Series race at Texas, but ran up front that entire race. Really a career run for him. And he had a top 10 finish in the truck just a race or two ago for his best career finish.
It's Connor Mosack out front. About a 2.5 lead almost over Jesse Love, Jack Wood, Dean Thompson made up a spot there. Andy J still hanging in the top 5.
I'm really surprised in Grant Enfinger in that 97. He was really doing a great job at the start of the race. I feel like he pounced when everybody else was unsure what their race car was going to do at the start of the race. He just jumped out to that second and third lane and drove around a lot of people on the outside. And now as everybody's kind of settled in, gotten in a good rhythm, you know, he's not been able to move forward as fast as he was.
Connor Mosack continues to lead here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 69 laps to go. Stay with us. Welcome back to the General Tire 150. We are under caution for the 3rd time for that spin right there. Sean Corr for the 2nd time goes around.
Yeah, that car is really, really loose. Sean just actually drove into the garage area. Bubba said, I've had all the fun I can stand.
Well, I don't blame him after 2 spins in the exact same spot.
We had some damage on the car, but look at this, the Navy SEAL Foundation on the car. Beautiful looking car. And just want to take a moment to thank those families and those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. That's what this weekend is all about. So happy to show these paint schemes off and all the patriotism that we will show throughout the weekend.
Absolutely. Freedom is not free. Well, pit road is open.
Frankie Muniz riding on board. He decided to come on down. We were just talking in the commercial break. You guys said pit window is open, but it looks like they're going under the hood, maybe have an issue.
Phil, would you say this is in their fuel window?
I think it's right on the outside edge of their fuel window. They know we're going to get another caution in about 17, 18 laps. Some of the crew chiefs said they may decide to come in this early, but I think right now the way the race is playing out, they've decided not to. Frankie was running in the 11th spot. You saw the team go under the hood.
Yeah, so he obviously had something going on with his race car that he was not happy about. They wanted to take this opportunity to make some adjustments.
Yeah, did not put tires on.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think earlier we had a couple quick cautions. You didn't really know what your car was driving like because, you know, the runs were so short. Now we've had quite a few laps on these tires. You have a really good idea of what your car is driving like, and so you see these drivers coming down pit road to make some adjustments to tune their car up.
That was a shot of Matt Ross, crew chief for Connor Mosack on the pit box.
Alex Clubb right there stopped on pit road with an issue. Going back to Frankie Muniz. Yes, let's get an update, Heather. What are they saying with that 30 car?
Yeah, well, he's bottoming out on the racetrack right there, so they just wanted to bring him in. He was also getting a little bit loose, so they were checking to see if they needed to make an adjustment to make it better. But I was talking to Frankie earlier, and he said it is incredible how this racetrack, the bumps and the character that it has. He said it's a lot more than I expected. He's been in the simulator racing to get prepared for this, but there's nothing like actually being out here for real. So he definitely had a little bit of a rude awakening. Right now they're just working on seeing if that car needs to be lifted up when they come in for the next break.
Yeah, this racetrack is the roughest mile-and-a-half racetrack we go to, and he could be bottoming out or he could just be riding really rough. A lot of times the way they set these cars up to make the most aerodynamic downforce, they make them ride really, really stiff to keep the platform of the race car really steady. And speaking of aerodynamics, you see here the front valence on Connor Mosack's car. You see where they actually have it under the radiator pan. They have it slid up like a notch out. And that's to keep the airflow under the race car really fast. That creates some downforce. We saw it with the old Gen 6 Cup car where a lot of the guys were forming the splitters to make the center channel raised up off the racetrack.
Yeah, the outside edges would be down and the middle up.
Right. When you seal that valence off, it chokes the air off underneath the race car. And so you're just relying on all the air flowing on the outside of the car, where when you keep that airflow underneath the car, it stays attached to the radiator pan and moves a lot faster under the car, makes more downforce.
And the pan is a lot wider this year than it was in all years past for these ARCA cars.
Which would make a big difference in downforce.
And some of these cars are former Cup cars. And speaking of the Cup Series Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, right here on Fox, it's the biggest patriotic day in racing, where the best of the best let freedom ring with 600 miles of high-speed chaos. It's all at 5:30 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. I know it'll be a special day for you, Eric, and your family. Just a little different when you're racing in NASCAR's backyard.
It really is. It makes a big difference when you get to sleep in your own bed and drive over to the racetrack, but it's home for all the crew members, for us, right? You come to the racetrack, you see everybody's family. A lot of the crew members get to bring their spouses, their kids, because oftentimes we're traveling. I mean, not often. Every other weekend when we're not racing at Charlotte, they're away games. Every other sport, they play 50% of their games at home. We only play 2 out of the 36 races at home. So it's so nice to be here, be in Charlotte, have a lot of the crews come out, their spouses, the kids, and get to participate in what we do.
And all 4 series racing here this weekend. Amanda.
Jamie, you talked about the effort of Andy Jankowiak of getting back to this track here this weekend. Pretty much that whole left side of that car that you're seeing right now has been replaced, including a brand new engine. It was an engine that they raised between practice and qualified that led to him qualifying 8th, currently running in the 5th spot. But when he talks about Charlotte, he said Dale Earnhardt grew up 20 miles from here. This place just feels different.
That is so Andy J. He's like a rock star. Where's the bandana? And oh, by the way, for those who have been following along, he is the pizza delivery guy. Eric, we were talking about him.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
He literally gets tips and he puts it in the jar that says racing fun.
Wow. Well, here we go. I'm really interested to see this restart. They're on older tires. We've already seen a lot of wheel spin from that outside lane, and Jesse Love has not restarted in the outside lane. So let's see if he can actually make the same traction he's been making on the inside lane. And it looks like he does.
Connor Mosack with a push by Jack Wood, but Jesse Love makes it look easy on the outside for the first time this evening.
That's the first time we've seen that. So he's obviously got something figured out in his gear ratios with his transmission or something in their car setup that's really helping him launch on the restart.
Yeah, you guys in the Cup Series, basically you have 5-speed transmissions and the gears are the same for everybody. These guys have a little bit of latitude on what they're able to do with their second gear. Some might even restart in first gear.
Right. Yeah. Depending on what the team decides, you can have a first gear restart transmission or a second gear restart transmission.
I was just looking at Jack Wood in the number 6 black and white car, and I realized there's about 6 black and white cars all running together, but Jack Wood looks really loose with sliding back and lost a few spots, Heather.
And prior to this caution, Jamie, he actually felt like the car was coming to him. He told the team that he was going to try to get into the resin and see what that did for him. And they said, yeah, you're actually catching them. Now, that was prior to the caution. Now he's just trying to hang on here on the top line and see if he can make work what he did prior to that spin.
Yeah, Andy Jankowiak, another one that's lost a few spots on that restart. Grant Enfinger, though, going forward in the 7th spot.
Yes, he is. And Connor Mosack restarting from the front row there, leading all those laps before the caution. Really surprised that his car didn't take off on this restart. It took him about 10 or 15 laps to get going the first run before he was able to get past Jesse Love, but now he seems like he's buried himself in a little bit bigger of a hole here on this restart, and he doesn't look like he's quite got the speed he had earlier.
Look at Taylor Gray closing the door. This is a battle heating up here for the lead. Jesse Love has it. Dean Thompson and Taylor Gray won it. I love this part about Charlotte. You can move all around the track, try to find that grip and make something work.
And that's what Dean Thompson just did. Remember, Connor Mosack was able to parlay that second lane into the lead earlier.
Well, one thing I'm noticing here looking at the scoring monitor is a lot of these cars are falling off. Jesse Love's a second slower than his fastest lap of the race. Same for Connor Mosack. But one thing Taylor Gray is not doing is falling off.
Caution out
caution
for the 4th time.
Wow, big impact
Scott
for the number
Melton.
69.
Looked like that would happen heading into turn 3. Gosh, big damage for him.
Tough break for Scott. This is the Kimmel Racing Toyota. A lot of damage.
That one's going to be going straight to the garage.
Scott Melton, this guy lives for racing. Remember, he broke his leg a couple years ago, came back as quickly as he could, and he's racing every week.
Oh, wow, he had already wrecked on the straightaway.
Scott
That's
Melton.
really strange.
Yeah, running 14th at the time. Big hits, 2 hits for him.
That's really the aftermath of it there. Something happened further back on the back straightaway.
Don't know, maybe if he got hooked by somebody or something, but.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right, Phil. I think he must have come up and tried to clear himself off a turn 2 or something and got hooked, turned head on into the wall in the back straightaway.
So that brings out the caution for the 4th time. Jesse Love continues to lead. He's led 24 laps so far this evening.
We're getting close to that competition break at around lap 50, so I'll be surprised if we don't see some of these teams take this opportunity to come down pit road. We know we're in our pit window now. Matt Ross may be talking about that to his crew. We'll see when pit road opens. Scott Melton is close to the entrance to pit road, so it may delay opening pit road for a couple laps. Now pit road is open. I just saw the green light.
See the green light. That gives the indication that they can pit if they wish. Remember, we're on a doubleheader kind of night. It's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series that continues the Memorial Day race weekend here in Charlotte as the fastest trucks on the planet go door to door for 220 miles of action-packed racing. The engines fire tonight at 8:30 Eastern on FS1.
Only 6 races to go in the regular season for the trucks. It's coming down to it.
How about Tanner Gray? Taylor Gray's older brother captured his first career pole for tonight's race. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was quite a nail-biter for him. Here you go. Coming down pit road. Pit road's open. You see several of these race cars coming down to make some adjustments and get their tires and fuel.
See, Gus Dean had quite a bit of damage on the nose of his car. They're all headed your way. Heather.
And we see Jesse Love coming in right here. He said that he's loose right now. At one point in the race said wrecking loose. So they're going to come in and do an adjustment here on the chassis for him and also get him 4 general tires. But other than that, he just wanted to know who's behind him and how far behind they are so that he can adjust accordingly and keep them behind him for the rest of the race. Amanda?
Little adjustment's going to happen for Andy Jankowiak. This team's been wanting him to focus on the air more so than the track. Kind of talking to him about the weather changing here. It's cooled off already.
You saw right side of your screen, Connor Mosack. They had to wait to put tires on until they're done fueling. You can do fuel and tires, but just not at the same time.
Oh, okay. Well, one thing I saw interesting was that 20 of Jesse Love. They came down pit road. They put their tires in fuel in, but before they did, they made adjustment in the back window. 2 rounds down on the track bar, 2 rounds up on the right rear jack screw, and 2 rounds down on the left rear jack screw to put wedge in it. So he must have been really loose to make that big of an adjustment. And he was our race leader.
And they made a track bar adjustment. They made all the adjustments they possibly could for the man who has dominated this race so far. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. Welcome back to Charlotte. Interesting call there. The first 6 in the lineup right now decided to stay out, so we have a mixed bag. What do you guys think of this?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. It's mostly because they have 2 sets of tires in the pits. So I understand if there was only 1 set of tires, these guys might try to go a little bit longer before they get their set of tires, but there's 2 sets of tires in there, and I just don't know if that was the right play, but we're going to find out. I could be wrong.
It's going to be fun to watch because these 6 cars are going to have to go to the back at some point, and then they're going to have to drive through all these people that pitted just now on this caution flag. So it's going to make it interesting for sure.
And I got to believe that if Jesse Love's already won back-to-back and you're going to race him for the win, I just do what they do. Race them heads up and try and beat them with a better race car. So, yeah, I don't know, but we're going to find out. These guys certainly on a lot older tires, 40-something laps on their tires, where these guys, Jesse Love, Connor Mosack, Jack Wood, Andrew, Andres Perez, they're all going to be restarting on stickers with a lot more grip and a lot more speed.
Yeah, we saw the adjustments made. Look at this throwback. This is a Kevin Harvick throwback for Caleb Costner. Pretty neat to see this. We've been talking about throwbacks the last couple of weeks, but him and his team, they put a lot of time into this, Phil.
I was talking to him after the initial inspection this morning and said, hey, we stayed up all night working on this car, getting it ready or whatever. He said, I'm going to take a nap after he got through inspection. So doing a great job here. He's one of the cars that stayed out, showing right now in the 6th spot.
Stars and stripes. Looks good. Well done, boys.
No, he's actually just dropped to the back, actually, Phil.
He sure did, huh?
He must not have been feeling that great about it.
He was in the 6th spot, and then he dropped back.
Got a car smoking there.
Again, the story of the night has been these restarts. When they get in this restart zone, and just having a lot of trouble making traction.
Dean Thompson, Taylor Gray, new faces on the front row for this restart.
Grant Enfinger with a great push to Dean Thompson. Immediately goes up there into that traction compound.
Look at Jesse Love. He's going to make it through 3 wide, move around the outside of the 35. Greg Van Alst. Connor Mosack is the opposite. He's on the inside, right.
4 wide. Wow.
Straddling the bottom lane.
Ooh.
Andres Perez, you saw him getting loose there.
Oh.
Greg Van Alst hard into the outside wall.
Oh,
Comes
man.
down into traffic. Caution is out for the 5th time.
So unfortunate for Greg. Daytona winner to get caught up in that and wrecked. But exactly what we just talked about, Phil. When you stay out on those old tires, it puts you in such a vulnerable position. Greg was one of the last cars on those old tires, with a lot of those other drivers coming on new tires, and it puts you at such a defensive position. You're not playing offense, you're playing defense, and 3-4 wide. Unfortunately, he got collected right
Yeah, Greg won that race at Daytona, had a top 10 at Phoenix. Our second race, parlay that into a point lead for a couple of races, but it's gone bad for him here lately.
Such a beautiful race car. I told him in the garage this morning, just that blue, it pops. You could see him anywhere on the racetrack. Worked his way up. He was 5th at the time of that caution. You see him climbing from his race car, that onboard camera shot.
He was talking about during our feature, CB Fabricating always has some sort of red, white, and blue paint scheme on these cars, but tough break.
We're told that there's some fluid on the race car, obviously, from the 35.
You see Connor Mosack below him. Jesse Love power into the outside on those fresh tires. Like we talked about, fresh tires, such an advantage. He's one of the last cars on old tires. He's really in a vulnerable spot.
I think when the 25 of Gus. Ooh.
Oh, Connor just gets into the back of him right there.
Just barely touches him. I thought maybe the 25 of Gus Dean loosened him up. But looked like Connor, just the closing rate was so high because of the new tires on Connor's car that I think he just nudged him and turned him towards the outside wall.
New tires seem to be about a second, little over a second faster. So much more grip. And when you run on those old tires, 40-something laps on your tires, when you're riding around under caution, you can pick up a lot of rubber and debris on the tires and actually have way less grip than when you've been running for a while. So it's very possible Greg could have gotten a little bit loose right there, and Connor just didn't anticipate that closing rate.
Just the slightest of contact, but that's all it takes. These guys are on the ragged edge.
Let's go on board with the 45. Watch this close encounter.
This is Tony Cosentino. There's that little nudge right there.
Ooh.
Yeah, turned Greg sideways, and then when he tried to overcorrect it, it went into the outside wall.
I believe that could be a nominee for a Reese's Sweet Move right there by Tony Cosentino, avoiding that.
Absolutely.
Tony did a wonderful job of getting on the brakes and making sure to avoid Greg when he was coming back down the racetrack. You hear Greg playing with the throttle quite a bit. So Greg obviously didn't have the grip he needed when he was getting into turn 3 there. His car was loose, and that little bit of contact from Connor, kind of finished him off with a car that was already loose.
Pretty significant contact with the safety barrier there. You could see the safety barrier give. Frankie Muniz did a really nice job getting by on the inside.
It sounds like, too, from a lot of the reports we've had tonight, a lot of these drivers are fighting loose handling conditions with their cars.
You could see it out there, how loose they've been, especially on the top side of the racetrack.
And I think that really goes all the way back down to the track conditions. When they practiced, it was sunny and hot, and the track was slick, and the track tends to be a lot tighter in those conditions. As the track cools down, the sun goes down, it gains a lot of grip. But
and that front gets it first, right?
The front gets it first, and it seems to always free the cars up.
Well, I mentioned Reese's Sweet Move of the race. Remember, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, head over to the Arca Mernards Series Twitter and Facebook pages at @Arca_Racing to vote on what moment you think was today's sweet move of the race presented by Reese's. So, that could be one right there. Tony Cosentino just avoiding Greg Van Alst there.
And Frankie Muniz as well.
Frankie's had a couple of those moments. Great heads-up driving by him. So this will be that scheduled caution we talked about. Those who didn't pit will come down now. So interesting different strategy. So Dean Thompson, Grant Enfinger, Taylor Gray. 50 laps in, 50 laps to go. To the General Tire 150, Phil Parsons, Eric Almirola, I'm Jamie Little. Thanks for joining us. And we are under caution for our Sioux Chief Fast Track driver, Greg Van Alst. Had a great night running top 5 most of this race, and then this happened.
Yeah, just in a bad spot on old tires, around cars on new tires, and just a little bit, the slightest nudge from Connor Mosack, who was on new tires.
Well, before he got that nudge, you could hear him just messing with the throttle. He couldn't quite get the power down. He was on those 40-lap old tires, and he was battling a loose condition and couldn't get the power down. And Connor Mosack on those fresh tires was able to get to his back bumper and turn him around.
What's up, buddy?
That's what Greg is asking right now. Why? Why?
Yeah.
Again, no malicious intent at all by Connor Mosack for sure.
No, absolutely not. And I know Greg, he just really wishes that Connor would have had a little bit more patience and tried to get his car turned under Greg and pass him on the exit of 4 rather than get into his left rear quarter panel right there in the middle of the corner where Greg was having a lot of handling issues.
Greg Van Alst, the short track racer from Anderson, Indiana. All volunteers that work with his team, and he's running full time this year. So a hit like this, there's a lot of consequences in the points.
Well, not only in the points, but it's expensive. There's a lot of money that's going to go into repairing that race car, and the time. The amount of time. So instead of taking that race car back to the shop and working on it, massaging on it, trying to make it better for the next race, they have to go back and cut all the damaged parts off of it and completely start from ground zero.
Well, let's hear from him. Amanda?
Greg Van Alst released from the care center, and we saw you throw your hands up, getting out of your race car. Reflections on what happened on track?
Yeah, he just drove through us. I mean, I know he's on better tires. We got 4 laps to the break, and, just no respect, right? There's 3 other lanes out there, and I'm in the middle lane. He could have went, lower. He could have went higher, and he just left rears us. I don't know. It's getting frustrating because we keep getting wrecked because these guys you can't race anybody anymore. I mean, that's just the way racing is anymore. Nobody passes clean. They just drive through you, and I don't know. I'm getting kind of frustrated with it, and I don't know. Maybe I just go race with my boys and do this 1 or 2 times a year or something. I don't know. It's just frustrating, right? There's, like I said, there's 3 other lanes out there, and he's got to pick the same one I'm in and just left rear us. I don't know. I'll have a talk with him and see what he says, but he better say he's sorry because I may not make the next one now.
Oh, boy. Greg Van Alst, that's a big man right there, and he's not happy. But don't walk away yet. Don't walk away. He needs to stay in the sport. We love having him. He's emotional.
Right.
Did you see his reaction when he won at Daytona, Eric?
Absolutely.
It was the best of the
It was
whole
awesome.
weekend.
It was so awesome. And you see it in his face. You hear it in his voice. So dejected. So, so disappointed. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact, too, is that he's a short track racer from the Midwest. And those guys, they have to learn how to race and take care of their equipment. They run 3-4 nights a week in the summer, and you have to be able to take your car home in one piece, work on it, and bring it to the racetrack the next night. And Connor didn't grow up that way, so Connor's more on the aggressive side, and certainly could have had some more patience there, but at the same time, he's licking his chops. He knows he has a great race car. He's led some laps in this race, and he wants to hurry up and get back to the front on those fresh tires.
Well, let's take a look back at Daytona and see the big win by Greg Van Alst and how he did it.
That was Jason White from Canada down on the inside on the 44.
And coincidentally, that 18 car is right behind him again.
Helped him to the win.
Right.
Helped him to the win.
Front row seat for it.
And that was Connor Mosack in the 18 car at Daytona.
So he probably loved Connor Mosack on that day.
I mean, that was just the beginning of the elation in the interview.
And that's such our sport, right? Our sport is such a balancing act of a hero one day, a zero the next. You can go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, and today you're seeing him at a low moment, but so awesome to see that replay of the highlight of his career winning at Daytona.
He's a fence builder, by the way. He's got to build a lot of fences to pay for the damage that just happened. That's how those guys think, right? We'll be back from the General Tire 150. Okay, quite a few takers here as we talked about the split system. We had some come in earlier, about 8 laps ago, and then the rest of the field decided to pit now, including Taylor Gray in the 17, Dean Thompson in the 15.
Yeah, and when we talked about this before the break, we knew this competition caution was going to come out. Phil and I weren't totally on board with this strategy of these cars staying out. But the only thing I can say is I don't know. Maybe these General Tires like to be stickers. Sometimes we on the Cub side have tires where they don't fire off as good after you put a quick heat cycle on them. So maybe they knew that this caution was coming.
Good opportunity to make some adjustments, get a drink of water. We have 42 laps to go here. Let's get an update. Amanda.
Well, you saw the 17 of Taylor Gray getting 4 tires put on. I think he was just as surprised as anyone that they didn't pit, but his crew chief reminded him, don't worry, we have the car that can go the distance. We will be really fast. Heather?
Well, for the 15 of Dean Thompson, that was their plan. They opted to do opposite what the 20 did on those last pit stops. So Dean right now, he said, you know what, this car's really great. I don't really need an adjustment. They are building a little bit free, but his crew chief, Manan Rahman, said, no, we need to make a little bit adjustment. So they did 1 out of the right rear wedge and 2 down on the track bar and 1 in the left rear there to get him a little bit more rear security on the 15. Amanda?
4 new tires for Grant Ingfinger. You'll remember there was that clutch issue ahead of the race. No problems there at all. The last time Grant was on an intermediate was back in 2016 at Pocono. Oh, and he won it. And then on the 45 of Tony Constantino, that was that Reese's sweet move of the move maybe. His pit stop looked good, back on track.
Thank you, ladies. Nice update on what was done. A lot of adjustments there. So we'll see who made the right adjustments, who made the wrong adjustments.
And all of those adjustments, again, to tighten the race car up. Everybody's battling a loose race car, Phil.
Yeah, same thing we saw at Kansas. Because remember, this new aerodynamic pan, this is the 2nd mile and a half that the Arca Mernards series is raced. And I think that new aerodynamic pan that goes all the way across the front of the car, all the way back to the radiator, has really thrown some curves to some of these guys. That's why they've been fighting so many loose conditions.
Well, we'll see if these fresh tires will pay off for some of these drivers that elected to not pit on the previous caution. Maybe this sticker set will be better than the cycled tires, but I don't know. I would be in the camp of doing whatever Shannon Rush and Jesse Love were doing, because they've got it figured out on how to get to victory lane in this Arca Mernards series.
And I don't mind what Dean Thompson, their reasoning for doing that. Do the opposite of the 20. Again, these are both cars out of Venturini Motorsports. I mean, at the end of the day, Venturini Motorsports wants to go to victory lane. I know each one of these drivers certainly does too, but within the company, it's not a bad strategy to have one on one side and one on the other side of that.
Yeah, but if I'm Dean, I already finished 2nd to him at Kansas. I want to do something. I want to do the same thing as him and race him heads up and try and beat him.
About Frankie Muniz, we saw him on pit road earlier with some issues. He said it was just a rough ride, so they took a look at everything. He's back up to the 7th spot in the 30 car. Jesse Love continues to lead the way. Jack Wood, Gus Dean, and Connor Mosack, your top 4 here as we get ready to restart once again at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Jack Wood does a nice job going through the gears of being able to hang with Jesse Love.
That's the best we've seen anybody do against Jesse Love.
He's trying to hang right there on his right rear quarter panel so he can't clear him off of turn 2. And he does it. He's able to hang with him right there off of turn 2, and now that momentum's going to carry him down the back straightaway.
But Tony Breidinger in the 55 for Venturini Motorsports. Haven't talked about her, but she's up there. Connor Mosack up high. He hangs on to it.
Gus Dean,
he was trying to avoid Gus Dean.
Gus Dean got really loose on the bottom there and slid up into Connor Mosack and made both of those cars run up the racetrack.
Loose is the trigger word tonight.
Yes,
That's all
it is.
we've been hearing.
Every single one of these drivers has their cars hung out and sideways, trying to search for every bit of grip they can find on this Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight.
Yeah, Connor's just now trying to recover from that. Lost all his momentum. He had to slam on the brakes when Gus slid up in front of him.
See the 32, Christian Rose entering the top 10 for the first time today. Came off a nice top 10 at Kansas at our last race, his first one of the season.
Hey, made him move around Grant Enfinger. Nice job by Christian Rose.
There you see Jan Kowiak and Gus Dean going at it.
It's a battle for the 5th spot.
Gus is trying to get the handling of his car back. Hopefully that resin compound will give him the traction he needs. He's struggling still with a loose race car.
Nice move on the bottom by Andy J. Not able to clear Gus. Looks like Gus may give him a break and let him in.
No, he's not. I want that spot.
Maybe not.
This is a heck of a battle for 5th, but Andy Jankowiak, if you weren't with us earlier, we told the story in the 73. He caught on fire at Kansas, couldn't even race. He and his buddies rebuilt the car, and they're here tonight. They've been running top 5, doing an incredible job.
And that is one of the Venturini Motorsports cars driven by Gus Dean that he was racing with. And the Venturinis told him at Kansas, anything we have on our hauler that you need to fix your car, let us know. They love Andy J.
Wow, that's awesome. And I've known the Venturini family for a long time. And Billy, that family is such a sweet family and just hardcore racers. Been in the Arca Mernards series, I think, since it started.
Yeah.
And
well, it started in '53.
All right, well, maybe Bill was. I don't know. But yeah, just a great family and great people and wonderful to race with.
By the way, Billy Venturini, who runs the operation, he jumped in the car last week. First time he's raced in 17 years. Finished 4th at Flat Rock, and there were some good drivers in there, including William Sawalich.
Yeah, I was talking to his dad, Bill, and he said he was really proud of Billy, the job he did, because he was competitive, qualified well, raced competitively, and again, as Jamie mentioned, hadn't been in the car in forever.
Here you see Taylor Gray and Connor Mosack. They've been battling back and forth for the last couple of laps. I believe they actually just had some contact moments ago.
Woo. Woo.
That was 17 getting into Frankie Muniz.
He said, I gotta go.
Gotta go.
Was that 2? Maybe sweet move nomination.
And more contact.
Oh.
That was an interesting straightaway for Taylor Gray.
And it actually put a little bit of damage at the tail end of his right rear quarter panel, which could have a slight aerodynamic effect on his race car.
These guys really rely on that right rear corner for that side force. We talk about the skew. That means the back end is really skewed out from the front, and that's what they do that for, is that side force.
Battle for second heating up. Jack Wood, Dean Thompson wants to get back up there. Dean led for a few laps, actually led 15 laps so far this evening, and he goes to the bottom of the 6th. Can he get it to stick?
Yeah, Dean's one of those guys that pitted during that competition caution, so he has a few less laps on his tires than does Jack Wood or Jesse Love. He's going to be able to make the pass and grab that 2nd spot.
And the one thing is, it's not just the less laps on the tires. You know, it's 3 or 4 laps less on the tires, but it's a brand new set of sticker tires that haven't been heated up and then cooled back down. That 3 laps might not be as big of a deal, but sometimes that heat cycle can really take the good out of the tire. Oh! What a save.
What a save. Contact from Gus Dean as Grant Enfinger goes by.
Yeah, Connor slid up into Gus Dean, made significant contact, but a great save by Gus Dean as well.
That's really going to take a lot of life out of the tires there for Connor.
Let's take another look at that one.
Not sure if Connor gets loose down here.
Oh, you actually see his car bottom out. His car seemed to bottom out, and we talked about how rough the racetrack is, and his car went down in there into turn 1. There's a big bump down there at the bottom, and his car bottomed out on those bumps and slid up the racetrack. And then when he got door to door with Gus, it just seemed to take the air off his car. Yeah.
What a save by both drivers.
I'd say that's up for a nominee for a sweet move.
Now who do we give it to? Which one of those drivers do we give it to?
Ooh.
Well, that's tough because Frankie Muniz has had a couple of great saves as well. This racetrack is just incredible how you can move all around. You have contact. You can You have the ability to save it, but it's been incredible tonight. Wow, Frankie Muniz on board right there.
Well, ever since they started putting that resin down, it's been about, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years that they've been putting the resin down in the second and third lanes. It's really made the racetrack a lot more versatile. You've been able to run all over. You can run your left sides down on the paint, or you can move up into the traction compound.
Heather.
And Connor Mosack just came over the radio and said he's wrecking loose, which for us watching here, obviously he's been having some issues. We've seen him have multiple incidents in contact with other race cars, and his team right now just saying, hey man, take a deep breath and try and regroup. So Eric, when you get frazzled in the race car, what would be your best advice to give him right now to calm down and calm those nerves and get back after it?
Well, you have to take a deep breath. You've got to make sure that you hit your marks, and you can't get your focus, you can't get your focus on the wrong things. You can't start thinking about all the negative things, your car not handling in the way you want it to, you're losing track position. You got to focus on, all right, I'm going to go back forward. I'm going to do the things I need to do in the race car. I'm going to hit my marks. If I'm struggling with a race car that's really loose, I'm going to start making sure that I manage my corner entries. I manage the way I drive around cars. Keep the air on the right side of the car so you don't put yourself in a vulnerable spot when you get inside of somebody. So there's a lot of different things you can do as a race car driver when you're battling a loose race car, like we continue to see Connor Mosack struggle with. He is really sideways, and he is pushing the edge for 8th position here with Gustine.
But he's not giving up despite how loose he is.
My goodness, he is going for it.
Well, Gus isn't giving much of a break either. He didn't give him a whole lot of room getting down in turn number 1.
Mobile One's got to be loving this action right here.
Yeah, it's the good guys versus the bad guys with the black and the white scheme here. Connor Mosack's going to get really frustrated with that. He had a car that was leading laps early on in the race, and it just seems like the adjustments they made at that pit stop have not suited his car to his liking, and he has really struggled with a loose car. I think they made a small track bar adjustment on that pit stop where we saw Jesse Love, who was battling with him for the lead, make a major adjustment to tighten his car up. 2 rounds down on the right side track bar, 2 rounds of wedge in the right rear and left rear. So obviously Jesse Love's car has come to life with those adjustments and tightening him up.
Saw Taylor Gray just grab that 5th spot away from Andy Jankowiak. He's on the move. He's one of those drivers that pitted on the competition caution on lap number 57.
And Taylor was another one of those cars that fell way back. He was involved. He was right behind Connor Mosack when Gustine came up the racetrack and got both those guys behind on that restart. Fell back to, I think, 11th, and he's slowly worked his way back up into the top 5 now.
Yeah, driven away from Andy Jankowiak, who he had just passed. He can keep that car right painted on the blue line. He's going to pull right underneath Andres Perez. He's going to grab that 4th spot.
Nice side-by-side battle. Just looking at Andres Perez, the 18-year-old out of Mexico City, and just the job he continues to do lap after lap. Just his 2nd career 1.5-mile race. 5th career start. He wasn't old enough, as we mentioned, couldn't even run Daytona, had to sit out that one, but now he's here full time.
Taylor Gray is the fastest race car on the racetrack right now, and this brings us back to what we talked about earlier. That decision to stay out at lap 40-something and wait till the competition caution, lap 42, and wait till the competition caution, just put them behind. I mean, he was up there battling for the lead with Jesse Love prior to that caution where Jesse Love came down pit road, and now he's 6 seconds back trying to chase him down.
With 23 laps to go.
Battle for the lead heating up. Jesse Love has a mirror full of Dean Thompson. I feel like this is a repeat of the beginning of the race.
No, Dean has been able to manage his newer tires a lot better, obviously, because that's the same pit strategy that Taylor Gray was on. He pitted on 11:57.
22 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're watching the Arca Mernards series, and look at that, Chad Knaus and his son enjoying the action on this Friday night.
Oh, thank you for all you do to make sure that when we walk out of our doors, we live in a free country. And I got to do some really cool stuff. I got to fly in that Osprey helicopter. I got to go in that LAV. They call it a lightly armored vehicle. It's similar to a tank. And I got to shoot some really big artillery rounds out of it. I mean, it was amazing. And the range and the firepower that it has, just unbelievable. But it is truly humbling to have that opportunity to go down there, spend time with the men and women that sign up. They volunteer to fight for me and you. Just an incredible opportunity and an amazing day.
It is the biggest military celebration that you will see ever, and it's right here at this racetrack on Sunday. We'll have hundreds of service members here to give our thanks and appreciation to the families. So many families will be here as well. Oh, we've been talking about the Reese's Sweet Move nominees. We've had quite a few. Let's take a look at them.
Let's do it.
Tony Cosentino is going to slam on the brakes to avoid Greg Van Alst after he came down the racetrack after hitting the wall.
Here you see Frankie Muniz after getting some contact from Taylor Gray when he's on the move. Frankie Muniz having to save that race car.
And how about Connor Mosack? About 45 degrees sideways when he got into the 25 of Gus Dean. Great save by Connor.
That's a pretty sweet move.
Woo.
So there are the nominees as of now. It could change. We could add another one before this is all said and done. But we have 12 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and these guys just can't shake each other. Gus Dean and got Connor Mosack in the 18. This is the battle for 8.
Whoa, and you still see Connor is just battling that loose race car. And that makes it so difficult to pass, especially when Gus is running that middle lane. It gives Connor really the only option to go underneath of him. And we've already seen multiple times, every time he goes underneath them and tries to make that move, he gets loose when the air gets taken off the right side of his race car.
Right now, Connor's saying, please, let's have a caution flag. Let me get in there and get 4 more tires, tighten this car up a little bit.
Heather, what are they saying?
Well, here we're going to take a look at Shannon Rush. That's Jesse Love's crew chief there. He has been racing here for 24 years and has yet to capture a win as a crew chief. And when I talked to him earlier, he said, I'm passively optimistic. I feel good about today. I feel better than I felt in the last 2 or 3 years coming to this racetrack. But he described Charlotte as his Achilles heel. So we'll see if young Jesse Love can hang on these last 10 laps and not only get him his first win, but their 3rd win in a row.
Yeah, Shannon, he was like, it's that double-edged sword when you come here. It's just, I know something has always gone wrong and we haven't been able to win, even if we have the best car. So we're hoping to do it tonight. He said he actually built a brand new race car for this race tonight and said our car was so good at Kansas. We know all the characteristics. We're bringing that back. So that's what he's running here tonight. And he's been great.
And he's still running some really fast lap times, too, around 31:50. That's within a second of his fastest lap, and right now he's got 50 laps on his tires.
Right. I wonder if he was saving tires, because a while ago, maybe 10 or 12 laps ago, Dean Thompson was running him down about 0.2 a lap, and we saw Dean cut the gap to about 0.3 of a second. And it seems like Jesse Love in the last 12 to 14 laps has just turned it up a notch. He's been running 31.50s and 31.60s to Dean Thompson's 31.90s, and he's taken that 0.3 of a second gap all the way out to a 2-second lead.
Battle for the 6th spot. Grant Enfinger's going to get underneath the 73 of Jan Kowiak to grab that 6th spot. Grant's just getting warmed up. He's going to have 200 more miles here after this race ends in the Truck Series.
Boy, these guys are so happy it's not the typical hot Charlotte that we're used to. I mean, we're probably down to about 65 degrees, maybe even a little cooler right now. So I think it's going to be that way all weekend long.
That makes it really, really nice inside the race car. When it's 90, it can be hot, and it can be really, really intense and very physical with that heat inside the race car. So a 60-degree evening like this makes it feel like a nice Sunday drive, if you will.
Yes, and that's what Jesse Love is making it look like, a Sunday drive out there, just dominating this one. Jesse Love has led 61 laps and continues leading here at Charlotte, racing here for the first time.
Oh, trouble. Gus Dean has got into the outside wall. You see the right front tire damage, both right sides.
Can't see General Tire on either one of those tires. Quite a bit of damage for him.
That's certainly going to impact his chances tonight. I know Jesse Love's excited they didn't throw a caution for it.
Yeah, for sure. How about Dean Thompson? What a great run for him. Again, another one of those drivers doing double duty. He was 2nd last time out in this Venturini car, hoping for one more spot. But as you mentioned, he's falling off the pace. We have trouble
caution
over in turn 2. Oh, the 11 car, Stephanie Moyer.
This is really going to shake things up, Phil.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
5 laps to go. Caution comes out. That is not what Shannon Rush wanted to see right there.
Now the crew chiefs have to make a decision. Do I want fresh tires? It's probably going to be a 2-lap shootout. But we still have 10 cars on the lead lap.
I don't know.
What do you if you're Shannon Rush, Eric, what are you going to do?
Well, you have to look at it. You have 10 cars on the lead lap, but certainly the last 4 or 5 cars on that lead lap are going to want to pit because their cars are not
without
handling,
a doubt,
right?
Yeah, if you're on the backside of the top 10, for sure you're going to come down pit road. You have nothing to lose.
I think if you're Jesse Love, if you pit, maybe Taylor Gray stays out. Maybe Taylor Gray, Jack Wood, maybe Dean Thompson. But I think at worst, if you're Jesse Love and you come down and pit, you're going to restart 4th or 5th. And I feel like with the race car that they've had, they certainly can win from 4th or 5th on a restart. If they leave themselves out there, I think they end up in a very vulnerable spot.
I think he's saying he's coming.
I think he said we're coming.
Yeah, I love that.
I do too. As a race car driver, I want to be on offense.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hung out there on old tires having to play defense on a restart, especially when you've had the best race car all night.
Because you don't know. If you stay out, everybody behind you may come to pit road, and then you're a sitting duck.
Right, absolutely.
But if your car is that good, you know you have 55 laps on the tires, why not?
Well, as a race car driver, this is also, too, where you really enjoy being the driver and not the crew chief. Because you don't have to make that call. You know, Jesse's going to do whatever Shannon tells him here, and Shannon says he's coming, and I think that's the right call.
Yeah, Shannon may ask Jesse what you want to do. He says, it's up to you.
That's right.
I want to do what you want me to do.
The question is, how many follow him?
Well, the green light's on. We're getting ready to find out how many people are going to come
If I'm Dean
down pit
Thompson,
road.
if Jesse Love comes down pit road, I may stay out. I maybe want to do the opposite of what he does.
I don't know. Dean's actually been falling off really hard those last couple laps.
Yeah,
he was running
comes.
32-second lap times.
Heather, they're coming your way.
Yes, they are, and Jesse Love coming down first. He told his team when they asked how the car is, he said he's still a little free, but they also let him know that he is better than the 15 of Dean Thompson in traffic. And as far as Dean Thompson goes, he was frustrated to see that caution come out. He said he's a little heavy on exit and he used up the rears too much. So both those teams are going to make some adjustments, and they're going to go head-to-head when we go green here. Amanda.
Tires on the right-hand side of the 97 are going on. They're going to top off as well. And as I look at the 17, tires on Taylor as well. But it was a mad dash to pit road. They were waiting to see what everyone else was going to do before they decided.
Remember now, non-competitive pit stops. Jesse Love will come off pit road. No matter where he comes off pit road, he will be the leader of the group on pit road. It looks like Christian Rose, the 32 car, was the only lead lap car that stayed on the racetrack. So if he does not come in, he was running 9th. He will be our leader on this restart, and Jesse Love will restart 2nd.
This is going to make it really, really interesting on these restarts. And something new to me, you guys told me before the show, unlimited restarts.
Oh, yeah.
Unlimited green-white checkers.
Yeah, if we're able to get restarted with 1 lap to go, they will finish at the prescribed distance. So in other words, if we get ready to take the green at lap 99, it'll be a 1-lap shootout, not a 2-lap shootout.
We'll step aside. We'll drop the green flag, maybe perhaps for the last time after this. Under caution for the 6th time this evening, but we're about to wrap it up. And who will take home that beautiful trophy? It's the General Tire 150 trophy waiting in victory lane. So what we'll have here is a green-white checkered. We have unlimited attempts. If they do take the white and the caution comes out, we will do the green and the white together for single lap shootout unlimited.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think Jesse Love is certainly the car to beat tonight. You know, Dean Thompson and Taylor Gray are going to have something to say about it. But I feel like with Jesse here restarting on the front row, Christian Rose is on older tires, and his car, honestly, has not nearly been as good as these other leaders. So I feel like Jesse Love is certainly in position. But don't count Taylor Gray out. He's going to be restarting right behind there, behind Jesse Love. If he can get a good launch and push Jesse down into turn 1, he can try to get to his outside and make something happen here.
Let's get an update on the leader, Amanda.
Well, I'm sure the number 32 is going to be pretty proud of this moment in honor of Memorial Day weekend. On that passenger side, he has his grandfather's name, Roscoe Rowe, who was a World War II veteran. He passed away in 2011, but said that right as he took the car out for practice earlier today, he said he felt a breeze, and he knew that was his grandfather riding along with him.
Great story. Nice to pay respect to his grandfather.
Right now, Jesse Love has to be careful because we know he's had the best car. And he's going to have to be really careful on this restart to make sure that Christian Rose launches first.
Right.
Jesse doesn't want to jump him. Even Christian Rose, it may even look, because he may spin these older tires.
Right.
Jesse's really going to have to be careful on this restart.
I agree. I think no matter what, it's going to look like Jesse Love jumped a restart. I just think he has that much superior of a race car than Christian Rose has had tonight. It's going to be really interesting here. He's going to have to do everything right.
Christian Rose, the control car on the bottom in the 32. Jesse Love on the outside. Nice restart.
Does everything right, just like you talked about, Phil. Taylor Gray trying to keep up.
How about Christian Rose hanging in there
Really
on those
loose.
old tires?
It's go time. Jesse Love to the point once again.
Here comes Dean Thompson on the inside in the 15 car.
They got these brand new General tires on with the air pressures pumped up. They're trying to basically lay down qualifying laps here for the next 2 laps to go win this race.
Shannon Rush told me the focus was short run speed in this number 20, and they have achieved that tonight. White flag is out. Final lap of this race. Can Jesse Love hang on?
Dean Thompson has got a great run through the middle of 1 and 2. He's certainly running Jesse Love down. Jesse's trying to break the draft.
Dean is coming.
Jesse Love trying to win for the 3rd time this season. Dean Thompson trying to win for the 1st time in his career. They're 4 wide behind him. Checker flag comes out. Jesse Love wins at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
What a great race. They had such a great race car. Jesse Love did everything right today. And I know
So did that guy, too.
And so did Shannon. That was absolutely the right call to come down pit road and put tires on. We talked about it. Victory Lane has eluded him here, but not tonight. He's going to go to Victory Lane and celebrate with his driver, Jesse Love.
Shannon Rush, been part of a race team coming to Charlotte since 2006. Never got it done. It was on top of his mind. Hugs all around.
And
how special is that? It's at home. He's got your family here. Going to go home and sleep in his own bed tonight.
Top
and that
3
team
finishers were exactly the same as they were at Kansas.
And what a run this team has been on. This number 20 team. 3 wins in a row. I mean, dominance. Jesse Love did a phenomenal job tonight. He was patient when he needed to be patient. He was aggressive when he needed to be aggressive.
It's only happened probably 3 or 4 times in ARCA history that a rookie has gone to Victory Lane 3 times in a row.
I think only 5 times ever has anybody won 3 or more times consecutively. So well done by the 18-year-old.
Everybody needs to keep their eyes on this kid. Jesse Love is a very talented race car driver. Obviously, he's with a great team with Venturini Motorsports and a great crew chief in Shannon Rush, but they have been performing at a very high level.
That is Billy Venturini's son. He's working with the team now, running the Venturini flag out.
Well, he's the